Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. This is going to be a follow-up to the previous podcast where I was discussing this new study that was released by the DNA Resonance Research Foundation. Dr. Max Rempel, who is the foundation's founder and CEO, he said that the study that shows that it looks like there's alien DNA in some human beings, particularly people that claim to have been abducted by aliens. So in this study, it's not yet been peer reviewed or anything like that, but that's what Rempel and his team are stating, that it looks like there's alien DNA in some human beings that shouldn't be there for some reason. Now, one thing I did that episode, but there was, I failed to talk about a hypothesis that was put forward earlier, about a year, within the past year, by somebody who I talk with on a regular basis, someone who I'm in constant, regular communication with. This guy's a former engineer. He did work for the CIA, for NASA, for DARPA, and he also worked for some defense contractors. Of course, he wants to remain anonymous at this point, but he's been talking with me for the last several years, and he believes that this could actually, the change in the DNA could be caused by alien implants, that the alien implants that people receive when they get abducted, that is what's responsible for altering people's DNA. And he actually talked about this within the past year. There was an episode that I did where I talked about it. Here's the thing. I've been talking about so many different aspects and so many different elements to this whole phenomenon that you sometimes forget about some of the things you talked about in the past. And I should have remembered this when I was discussing this latest study that has yet to be peer reviewed during the previous episode. But now we're going to talk about it today instead. And anyway, I'm going to pull up on the screen here. This was some of the information that he had provided me before that I did talk about in the previous show. This is what he wrote to me. He says, most people assume the implants are some sort of tracking or monitoring devices, but I don't believe that could actually explain such a large-scale ongoing program. On the other hand, if these nanotech devices were able to generate AMMs, which stands for artificial molecular machines, they could in fact be altering the DNA of the victims. Modifying the genetic code that defines the physical structure of their brain could easily result in a reduction in intelligence and render them more passive and easier to control. I now suspect this is the reason children are such frequent targets of abduction. The younger the victim, the more time the implant has to do its work. And if the DNA modification process can be completed before they have children of their own, it's quite likely that the new traits could be genetically transmitted. This could eventually result in a widespread condition similar to autism, which would forever keep the human race in a relatively backward and defenseless state. It may also explain why the abduction phenomena seems to be generational. After expending the effort to insert an implant in a victim, it makes sense that they would want to come back to check on their children to see if the new traits were being successfully passed along. Obviously, if these new traits were anything beneficial, the entire population of the planet would gladly volunteer for it. So the fact that they have to do it to people in the dead of night tells us that it's not something we would welcome. In my opinion, a full and complete disclosure is needed immediately. Regardless of the panic it will cause, the situation has become much too serious to be kept under wraps any longer. There are more important actions we should be taking right now on a national scale which require public awareness and support. The implants are a mechanism by which the entire human race could be subjugated, and therefore we must begin to scan everyone for them. This will allow us to determine the extent of the problem and enable us to remove those that we find. And then he actually followed up with some more information today with some more stuff here. He writes, I suspect more of these creatures will eventually arrive, and the ones who are here are only preparing the way. The implants are probably intended to dumb down the general population, while human-looking hybrids are being positioned to spread disinformation and conduct crowd control in the event that should become necessary. We can't just bring this out as a theory. We need to have proof. The implants themselves would constitute such proof, so we really need to look at them more closely. Maybe you can move things in that direction. Now, of course, this alien implant business is something that people have been talking about for for decades now. It's something that it's a concern. Actually, it was the subject of Jeremy Corbell's documentary Patient 17, where the late Dr. Roger Lear was removing he removed 17 implants from different people over the years, and that documentary focused on the 17th patient that Lear had removed an implant from, and these things are otherworldly. I mean, you have to wonder, what are they for? A lot of people just think, okay, there must be tracking us like the way we would track an animal, but it could be more. There could be something more to it than just that. They could be designed to change our DNA, and if this study turns out to be correct from Rempel and his team, then how is it happening? It could be because of these implants, and people. It still happens, and we're going to talk about that in a second. People are still getting abducted to this day. Now, we can't. All we could do is speculate on a lot of this stuff. But to me, right, we're at a position right now where we have to be saying to ourselves, this must be happening. Something is going on. Right? I've talked about the evidence on this show. How many times already? We've seen we know that they're real. I mean, how many of us out there have actually encountered these creatures? I encountered one of these creatures when I was a kid, right? I know that it's real. And I saw a craft along with another witness back in the mid-1990s. So I know that there's something here with us, and they're up to something, and they're very secretive about it. And then you have people like researchers, David M. Jacobs, who I talk about all the time on this show, because I think that, his research shows that they're creating a hybrid race, and they're beings that are half human, half alien, and they're planting them all over the planet for reasons unknown. So I think that this is a situation where our scientific community needs to be looking at this and trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Are we being totally completely absorbed over time? Is that what's happening here? And now you have a study saying that there's alien DNA in people. And you have this guy who's a retired engineer who did work for the CIA, DARPA, and NASA, telling you this, stating this kind of stuff, telling you that these implants could be what's causing DNA to be changed. For what purpose? What's going on here? We need to get to the bottom of this, but it seems here's the problem. Because it's the stigma surrounding this, nobody's doing anything about it. You have the government continuing to lie about this. You have, at least we're doing something in Congress. You have these hearings and everything, but we're mostly concerned about people seeing UFOs, and that's it. What the danger that they cause to air traffic. Like I've been stating on this show, the issue is much, much more serious than that, right? I mean, that is a problem, of course. Yeah, you don't want to have an airplane wreck into a flying saucer by accident and have a bunch of people get killed, or have one of our military pilots get killed. You don't want to have something like that happen. Of course it's a problem. But the bigger problem is, what are they doing to us? They're changing people's DNA. They're putting implants into the people. Just remember this. Also, 2 years ago, I was contacted by a former Air Force mechanic, and he said that he told me about that there's this program in the Air Force that an alien implant removal program. They have this. In fact, there was an implant that was found in this guy, and there's an implant removal program. Now, the doctor that looked at him did not remove his implant, but there is this program to remove these alien implants. They know about this, and they're not talking to the public about it. The entire scientific community, for the most part, has pretty much laughed off this phenomenon since for God knows how long. I mean, we have a few of them out there that seem to take it seriously, right? Like, for instance, Stanford's Gary Nolan, Dr. Gary Nolan, and you also have Dr. Avi Loeb. There's some people out there that seem to be taking it seriously. The rest of the people, right? The rest of the people in the scientific community are laughing this off. And that's a shame, especially when you're able to, at this point in time, when we have the absolute proof that shows we're not alone, that these creatures do exist, these beings that people said they saw that had abducted them in the past and brought them on board and did things to them medically and then set them on their way again. There was people talking about these for decades now, right? Since the 1960s, 50s, 60s, right? Since that time. And they've been doing this the whole time, but yet the scientific community, because of this stigma, for the most part, they laugh it off. When Dr. John Mack of Harvard was investigating alien abductions, his colleagues at Harvard acted like he was nuts, right? They're the ones who are nuts, right? Those people who are refusing to look into this situation, they're the ones who are nuts. They're just letting this thing slide by, like pretend like it's nothing going on. They think that everything is just cut and dry in this world. You're born into this world. You believe in Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny for a few years, and then you're told, oh, it's all a joke, and this is the way things really are, and there's no such thing as creatures from outer space. That's what you're told. There's nothing like that. It's all that's nonsense. That's the lie that gets driven into people's brains on this planet. It's like we don't want to face reality. It's like we're just letting it happen for some reason. And then there's other people out there trying to tell you, hey, wait, we better take a closer look at this. This could be something serious, but nobody wants to listen. And we know that these kinds of things are happening because, it's still happening. In fact, I just received an email message this week from somebody who actually in the past had sent me some videos showing this woman says that has issues. She's been having apparent encounters with aliens off and on throughout her whole life, and she sees UFOs flying over her home sometimes. And I'm not going to give this person's name away or anything like that. She wants to remain anonymous, so we'll just say her name is Mary. How's that? And so Mary contacted me again just this week, and she was talking about another recent experience that she had, and it was very strange. And I want to go through that here a little bit. Actually, right now on the screen, I'll show you that this is just a video of a cell phone footage that she captured near her home recently, within the past year, I believe, where you see it looks like a flying discs near her house. So that's what she's seeing. But this is what she wrote to me. She wrote this. She says, I sent you some videos a couple months ago. I used to live not far from where the Trent UFO photos were taken back in 1950. Anyway, I am currently listening to your video on alien DNA being mixed with our DNA. A few weeks ago, I had something strange happen. I thought it was a dream, but now I am not so sure. I dreamt that the aliens were here and I was taken. I have had these dreams off and on my entire life. The thing with this time, though, I noticed something. I have a necklace that I wear all the time. I rarely take it off. I always make sure it is put on the right way, and it isn't hard to tell which side should be facing outward. Well, when I woke up from this experience, my necklace was on backwards. I hadn't taken it off. I always make sure it is on the right way. Was this possibly an abduction? What is interesting about the DNA thing is that my son had a chromosome microdeletion, but I don't. His dad has the deletion as well. My son and I are a puzzle to the doctors because I pretty much had every complication imaginable, and the doctors don't know how we survived. I died twice on the table, and my son was born not breathing. He and I have both always been very precognitive and have that telepathy link between us. He is autistic and has ADHD and sensory processing disorder. I am not diagnosed with autism or ADHD, but we are pretty sure I fall in there somewhere because I have a lot of the neurodivergent markers. Anyway, I thought you might find this interesting. I just don't have anyone to mention this to and wouldn't think I am crazy. It is sad that society has such a closed mind. Now, what she's talking about here, now, of course, she's talking about some issues with regarding their chromosome makeup here. I mean, so there's something going on here, right? But also she's talking about this abduction experience where she wakes up with the necklace that she always puts on the right way, but for some reason she wakes up after having this dream of aliens taking her. She wakes up from that and the necklace is on backward. That's something that happens with regularity when you read about alien abductions. You read books from Bud Hopkins, from John Mack, from David Jacobs, right? What happens in a lot of cases, sometimes people, they're abducted by aliens and they wake up the next day and they're wearing clothes that they don't own because the aliens redressed them with somebody else with a different abductee's clothing. So they wake up wearing a shirt this is my shirt. That happens. Or sometimes they wake up with their pants on backward. There's a lot of different weird things that happen to alien abductees because they get undressed by these creatures, and then the creatures redress them, and sometimes they mix the clothes up or they put them on backward. And this is par for the course what this woman Mary here is talking about. This is what happens sometimes. So I mean, for some reason, right, despite the fact of all of this testimony from tens of thousands of people over the decades, right? All these different experiences that people are afraid to talk about because of the stigma that surrounds this whole phenomenon, right? But yet we have all of these weird things going on, and now we have evidence that shows, without a doubt, right? Without a doubt, there's no doubt anymore, folks. There's something here with us, right? And they meet the description of what these people who get abducted say where their abductors look like. That's what they do. They meet the same description. So, with that in mind, all of this stuff, we actually have alien implants, right? I'd like to know, there was never really a follow-up to Jeremy Corbell's documentary. I'd like to see what else do we know. I mean, some of them devices they still have to be out there. Some people have to be. Aren't there some scientists out there looking at them, trying to figure out what they do or how they work? I mean, to me, it's unbelievable that we still have to, that there's still so many people out there that just find this phenomenon unbelievable. It's just, especially when you look at the evidence that has amassed to this point. It's just, to me, it's incredible. And the fact that we're just tiptoeing, we continue to tiptoe around it when there's something here, something's doing something to the human race. It's beyond worry. We shouldn't be just concerned here about what they're doing in the skies and how they might wreck into something. We need to be thinking about other aspects here too. The most important thing, as far as I'm concerned, is what are they doing to us? Are they changing us? To what? For what reason? What's going on here? I mean, where's the scientific community? I mean, I know, they think that there's nothing to this and there's no evidence, but then they're just lying. Either they're lying or they're stupid. Like I always thought, you have to be, at this point, you have to be lying or stupid. That's what it is. I mean, there's no other in between. You're just totally ignorant. You didn't look into this. You didn't study. You bought into the stigma a long time ago and you never left, right? Or you're just lying. You do know about it. You don't want to talk about it. It's either A or B, which there's no middle ground here. So I'm just, to me, right, I just can't believe that we're still in this position where, like after all of this, right? For one thing, you had the Las Vegas alien evidence. I mean, why isn't anyone else talking about this? This ends the debate. There's no more debate anymore. Why aren't more people talking about it? It shows that this is true, that all these kinds of creatures are real. They're there. We can actually see them now. We can see them. Right? There's just that case there ends it. There's no more debate. So that means that a lot of these other things that we've been hearing, they have to be true. I mean, put it this way, even without that, had that not happened, I knew, right? A lot of us knew that all these people couldn't be making this up. It wasn't some sort of some psychological issue like a lot of the debunkers like to claim, right? I mean, I like to know what's going on with these debunkers. Why are they so opposed to looking into this? Why do they just poo-poo everything right out of the gate? I mean, who are they working for? Everybody should be extremely angry about this and be demanding change. We need to have our scientific community taking a serious look at this. And now we have this study. Where's the rest of the scientific community? They should be talking about that. This is big news. If there's a scientific group out there that studied this and found that there's evidence of alien DNA in some humans, particularly humans who are saying that they've been abducted by aliens in the past, and we're not doing anything about it, we're just going to sit back and do nothing about it? I mean, where's Congress at? Instead of this, why didn't they bring the Pentagon in and just ask them straightforward up, show them the Vegas alien evidence and say, you're going to tell us you don't know anything about this stuff? Like, lay it all out. We could have this all settled once and for all. All you have to do, right, is have a hearing, right, where you bring in someone like Scott Roeder, you lay out all the evidence, and then you have someone from the Pentagon try to explain what's going on here. How come you haven't been talking about this? You see it right here, where we're seeing the evidence with our own eyes. We see the proof of non-human intelligence right here in front of us, and you got nothing to say about it? You don't know anything about these things? Come on, you would end this whole argument right then and there. You put them on the spot. They'd have to answer truthfully for once, because they'd be under oath, right? Bring them in, bring those people in, bring the heads of the Pentagon in and have them answering some of these questions. That's what needs to be getting done here. Are we just going to let it happen, what's ever going on? Is that what's going on? Are they working, or is our people in the government working with these creatures and they want it to happen? Maybe that's what's going on. I'd like to know, because that's what it might seem like to some people, right? So we really need to get to the bottom of this, folks. We actually really, really need to take it seriously. It's not a laughing matter. It's not a joke, right? It's just not. We need to take this seriously and find out what are they doing to our DNA, if that, in fact, is what is happening. We can't say for sure right now. Again, that study needs to be peer-reviewed and all that kind of stuff. But if that's happening, right, then some of these other possible theories, this other hypothesis that perhaps the implants are what's causing this kind of stuff, then it, like the former NASA engineer says, everybody needs to be looked at, and we need to find out who has implants in them, and they need to be removed, right? Wouldn't we have to do something like that, or are we just going to let everything stand as they are? Anyway, I just think that this is an important, a very, very, very important topic, a very important subject, and it might be the most critical issue facing humanity at this point, and people aren't talking about it. There's a lot of other issues. I know it's very difficult. This world is pure madness. I understand. I get it. Believe me. You see it all the time, every day. Look at the news. That's all you got to do. Complete, absolute madness. We're killing each other. There's so much bad stuff happening right now. It's hard to grapple with it all, but on top of it, right? It's like a Game of Thrones. It's like Game of Thrones. If anybody out there is familiar with that series, the show that was on HBO some years ago, I thought it was a great series. I enjoyed it. I watched it from beginning to end. And in that show, there was all these political machinations going on, right? But meanwhile, behind the scenes, there was this undead army of undead growing and gonna threaten everyone in this fictional, fantastical world, right? And nobody was really thinking about it that much. And then, but then they had to finally. I think that's pretty much what you're seeing here with this situation. We have like a Game of Thrones sort of situation going on here, where everyone's all worried about their political futures and nonsense like that. When reality is, we should be really working together, everybody, and trying to figure out what the hell's going on with these NHI that are here. What are they up to? What's going on? What, they're changing our DNA? That sounds pretty damn serious to me. It should be serious to everybody else out there too. Anyway, I just want to say this. Have a nice day. Thank you very much for joining me. Until next time.